Xbox Phil Spencer says he passed on acquiring so many games, including Destiny and Guitar Hero, and Grand Theft Auto, and Spider-Man, but I digress. Spencer said in a recent interview that Destiny didn't initially click for him. Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer said in a recent interview, commented on the fact that he's passed on acquiring games like Destiny and Guitar Hero for Xbox. The CEO went on to say he's made some of the worst game choice decisions, but that he ultimately has no regrets. Give me my ruler. I need to go see Phil Spencer. His comments came as part of an interview at PAX West titled Storytime with Phil Spencer, where the head of Xbox discussed some of his favorite games from over the years, one of which is Destiny. Spencer said he had mixed emotions and stories around Destiny. The shooter didn't initially click for him when he first played it, despite having a closer relationship with developer Bungie, he said. He once shared a floor at Microsoft with Bungie founders Alex Serapian and Jason Jones and learned a ton from just being around Bungie, Spencer said. He and Microsoft did receive a pitch from Bungie to publish Destiny, but Xbox ultimately decided not to sign on. It would take the game's House of Wolves expansion for Spencer to come around on Destiny. It's a game that I'll always love and a team I'll always have a ton of affinity for, Spencer said. Guitar Hero was another major franchise Spencer said he initially had doubts about. An interesting one is when this team came down to Redmond and Alex Gipulus, who is great. He pitches a game where they're actually going to make plastic guitars and they're going to plug into consoles and then they're going to sell tracks where you're going to play Simon on this guitar. And I'm like, really, Spencer said? Do we really think that's going to work? A few people played Guitar Hero, Spencer said jokingly. I heard that turned into a pretty good game. Spencer said he's ultimately not a regrets type person and prefers to be positive and look forward when it comes to things Xbox is currently doing rather than shaking his fist over what could have been. Yeah, because you're doing so well right now. Maybe that's a fault of mine, but I passed on so many games, Spencer said. It's not the first time there's been mention of Microsoft having been in the running when it came to the developer being acquired for a second time. Bungie originally split off from Xbox back in 2007, but not before giving up the Halo IP to the House of Xbox. Former Bungie composer Martin O'Donnell has previously said Bungie did consider going back to Microsoft, but also entertained the idea of being acquired by Sony, which would eventually acquire Bungie in 2022. Bungie wanted to own the Destiny IP, O'Donnell said, making negotiations with the two first-party companies a non-starter. The developer ultimately partnered with Activision to publish Destiny and Destiny 2, a deal that O'Donnell has said in interview was bad from the start. Bungie and Activision's publishing agreement ended in 2019. So there's just one comment. Scipio goes, Bungie founders, yeah, I could never forgive what they did to Marty. O'Donnell and how they let Activision ruin that game and make that company consumed with greed. Destiny was fun for a bit, but then it wasn't. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first since you are the more you don't like Phil Spencer so much.
It's not that I don't get it wrong. I'm glad you said that. It's not that I don't like Phil Spencer. I don't like the decisions he's making.
Right.
That's I love Xbox, so obviously, Phil Spencer's done things, but there's also stories I've heard besides Destiny and Guitar Hero that make you wonder, make you scratch your head. It's like because the whole reason Spider-Man is a PlayStation exclusive is because Phil Spencer passed on it. When the first Spider-Man came out on PlayStation 4, Phil Spencer had first crack at it. He could have made Spider-Man an Xbox exclusive, and he passed on it. And then let's go back to 2001 or 2002. Grand Theft Auto was originally, if you realize, Grand Theft Auto 3 and Vice City never had releases on Xbox. Grand Theft Auto, the first Grand Theft Auto game to release on Xbox console was Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Because Phil Spencer didn't see any promise in Grand Theft Auto 3 or Vice City. That's why later they made the collection that featured where if you want to play Grand Theft Auto 3 or Vice City on the original Xbox, they were later sold off in a collection together.
Right.
But PlayStation saw the promise, and it's just like, how do you pass on Grand Theft Auto? How do you pass on Spider-Man?
He must be like smoking or something at the time, and it just affected his judgment.
But I mean, even don't get me wrong. I hated the first Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
It was just impossible to turn the car. But I played Grand Theft Auto 2 on emulator, and it was actually pretty fun. So, I mean, I enjoyed it. So it's kind of like, yeah, okay. I mean, get rid of the overhead view because, you really can't tell too much of a story. But Grand Theft Auto 2 seemed to work a lot better than the original Grand Theft Auto.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of like, really? You didn't see promise in this? You didn't see promise in the first Spider-Man when that could have been an Xbox? You know how much PlayStation would be hurting if Spider-Man was an Xbox exclusive? And Phil Spencer passed on it. How do you not see value in Spider-Man? I mean, the Marvel Ultimate Alliance games were great.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's still fresh. It's still relevant to some gamers like ourselves.
yeah. So it's kind of, I mean, and it's just like Spider-Man 2 really, in my opinion, is carrying the PS5. It's the only reason people care at all about the PS5. So but it's like, but when I heard that Phil Spencer had first crack at those games and he passed on them, it's kind of like, wow, he's been making bad decisions for a long time.
At least 5 years, or not at least 5 years, about 3 years. But
Yeah.
it's just the pandemic. Actually, I think the pandemic kind of affected everyone at Microsoft and Xbox, especially Phil Spencer himself, because everyone's laid back on decision making, and it just created this weird setback in judgment and experience and overlay, and to organizing, planning ahead. It affected everything of these guys, and now we're seeing again the effect of it, everything. So
Yeah, so don't get me wrong. I'm a big fan of Xbox, the past at least. I really can't say too much about the future. That's good. Um, but so obviously, I appreciate what Phil Spencer has done, making Xbox kind of the replacement for Sega when Sega died, when Sega bowed out with the Dreamcast, of the console wars at least.
hmm
But it's kind of like, you know, it's just like, really, how many? I'd love to know other games Phil Spencer passed on, to be honest.
could be Fast Cycle Filter, or it could be like other IPs he bought from Bethesda and King, or King Crush and stuff like that. So uh, you never know at this rate, but that's what I'm thinking of. Like, how you
Yeah,
pass up on games like that? Do you have IPs of, or potential to buy them even? Like, you bought all these gaming companies and studios that own or made these games, and all of a sudden you don't use them, even though they have been used in over 20 years prior to you buying them. It's kind of like, well, what was your purpose then? I mean, it's just that to store it in the backlog and keep it for future use. I mean, it's like, that's a bad offer right there to most developers and publishers even. It doesn't make any sense. So.
what I would, like I said, if I was Phil Spencer and the Activision Blizzard uh, merger went through, I would have contacted every single studio, and I would have said, "Listen, I want to see I want to see your IPs, the last game you made for each IP that you have. I want to see what that game was, how much it made, and how much the budget was for that game.
hmm
I want to see, tell me, you don't even have to say the revenue. Just say, did you make money? Did you have, was the revenue positive or was the revenue negative according to the budget? And I would have started work on those games. The past games, if I own the rights, like True Crime and stuff, and Tony Hawk, I would have been trying to get them on Game Pass on day one because, to be fair, True Crime, even if you buy True Crime Streets of LA or Streets of New York or the first Tony Hawk or second Tony Hawk for PlayStation on eBay, it's not gonna go to the developers anyway. So you're not really losing any money. But that would have been awesome for Game Pass to have those games.
Mhm.
But and he did nothing with it. It's like, wow, $69 billion, and this is what you did with it. This is what you did with what you spent $69 billion on. Okay.
And expect us to spend $30 for the last, was it a year now on games and on the Xbox? At least on the Xbox. You're
And then
playing a dangerous game,
and
my
then he
friend.
raised the prices of Game Pass.
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh.
if you had the True Crime series and the Tony Hawk series and Sleeping Dogs and stuff like that, if you had that on Game Pass, there would have been a good reason to have a price increase, because you would have been like, listen, look at all these games that we're adding to Game Pass now that we own these IPs. And we're gonna talk with the developers about the success of their most recent game, considering for each IP, to see which ones we should make a sequel or a reboot for.
At least the Sleeping Dogs game at one point, it was free games with gold for a while. I'm not sure if I still own it or not, but if I can, I could probably get a good discount on it now. That's about it on the Xbox when it comes to Sleeping Dogs. And True Crime, for example, I got the first True Crime game on the PS2, so I'm good for the time being with my collections as far as with True Crime that is. But it sucks though they can't do New York or
Yeah, because
Tokyo.
everyone tells me Streets of New York was a whole lot better than Streets of LA.
Yeah.
But Streets of LA was still a good game. It's just New York was that much better.
Oh yeah.
And Phil Spencer, well, you saw what he did.
Yeah.
We even
Even
and this isn't the first time we talked about it, because
yes.
we looked at it like a year after the merger was approved and went through, and we're like, where's all the IPs that we were excited to possibly see make a comeback or at least have the ability to play their older games?
Hmm.
It's it you know it it and like I said, there's times and now really I wish the merger didn't go through.
Yeah.
Why didn't you put older Call of Duty games that you can't make money from? Why didn't you put that on Game Pass?
I wonder if Phil Spencer has any advisors, especially if they are from all varying ages, as old as like say 60 to as young as like 18. Because obviously, if because I met a gamer surprisingly the other night. I was playing chess with him. He teach me a lot of stuff how to play chess better. His name is let's call him Dogma for now, and he's a veteran of a chess game for like 20 years now. He's part of some chess club of sorts, and he's very well balanced and well renowned with his chess skills and all. He's way better than I will ever be, and he's a gamer since God knows when. I mean, if he's like 69, late or mid to late 60s, I'm like, have him as part of the advisor on with Phil Spencer's team of Xbox or stuff of that sort. And then young as 18 with the all young games with Fortnite and stuff. So it's kind of like balance out the IP, it's research, balance out the IP discussions, or this is just a one prime example of that, man. So we could get better at putting good games out there for the Xbox, you know. And it's too late now, but
Yeah,
but it's just a shame. These people they see us online on the Xbox for how many decades now, and like you should hire us to help you out to get some better find better ways and means to get your content or got your Xbox brand out there. Whether you're head of Xbox or CEO of Microsoft or both, it sucks.
yeah,
They don't use people for potential. It's all about gatekeeping and like profiting in short term. So,
yeah. But I mean, like I said, I wouldn't want to be an advisor of Phil Spencer now.
oh yeah,
The advisor of Phil Spencer. If Phil Spencer asked me for advice, I'd say you made your bed, now lie in it.
he actually
Because
gave
I
up.
think that I think the damage to the Xbox brand is irreversible.
He gave up publicly on a fucking podcast that's like well mentioned to a lot of gamers. It's like it's not. It sucks. He actually gave up. Literally say, "Yeah, we suck. We gave up." And Redfall and Starfield didn't do so well. I'm sorry. On a podcast as well renowned uh, to, for years. I think it was Geeks and Gamers. I think it was something equivalency of that, man. I forgot the name of the podcast. It's gotta be Geeks and Gamers. But these guys been at it for decades talking about this stuff, saying that Phil Spencer did this and he did that and Xbox this. You know, it's whatever now. It's damage is done.
Yep.
Like you said, lie in your bed, and that's about it.
Anything else to add, or ready to move on to the final story for tonight?
Yeah, we can move on and say rest in peace to Phil Spencer's career.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Hey,
Mr. Spencer.
Phil Spencer has no one to blame but himself.
I kind of like the guy too. He seems like down to earth in a sense, from my perspective. I mean, he has the arrogance as any other CEO had a something, but he's still out there. He still go out about see what's up with the matter.
Yep. Well.
Oh well.
Thanks for everything you did to killing Xbox.
Oh yeah.
Sony's new game Concord is now offline after just over a week.